something very interesting that I've bumped into or that I've realized during my last several years of my self-discovery. This has been my life. What do I mean by this has been my life? Thoughts after 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 thoughts. Incessant thought activity. Mental chatter. Or overthinking. Thinking about the past and thinking about the future, which obviously causes a lot of anxiety, stress, anger, fear and those kind of things. But then I realized that as this thought activity goes, there is a time when you are catching yourself thinking. And there's a small gap. And this is the gap, or this is the space when you realize that you've been thinking about the past or future. And at that moment, in that space, you're not thinking. But then the challenge is, another thought comes in from the back door and then takes you away into thoughts after thoughts after thoughts. Now this is a space where you're not thinking. And because you're not thinking about the past or future, this space is what I call the space of no thoughts, or the space of peace, or the space of awareness of the fact that you've been thinking. And this is kind of short-lived. And this space is what is missing in our life. And this is thinking, therefore anxiety, stress, fear, anxiety, stress, fear, anxiety, stress, fear. Oh my goodness, I've been thinking about why have I been thinking about the past and future. And this is a kind of a reprieve from your overthinking. And this space of awareness, the space of peace, is what is missing in our life. What I've realized is that the guidance in our life comes from your intellect in all these situations, and therefore you are just surviving. Whereas over here, there's no mind and there's no thoughts. Therefore, the guidance comes from a profound knowing, not from the intellect, but from something profound, what I call the intelligence. And therefore, what comes out comes with a lot of creativity and newness. Because this one is the old, that is from the past. And this one is beyond the past, and which is new, and therefore something creative. Just for example, if you ask someone who has done an excellent artwork, a painting work, or a music, or a movie, or any kind of something very creative, if you ask that person, how have you done this? It's absolutely fantastic. And that person would say, look, I have no idea. This is totally beyond me. I have no idea. And that happens in this space. And this is why I call this the space of profound awareness, the space of peace, the space of creativity, from which all new things happen. But for us, this is kind of short-lived, and this is not how, at least I have been living. But now, what I've been doing is, with a bit of awareness, with a bit of practice, I've been able to expand this space of creativity, this space of awareness, and constantly practicing so that I'm able to get more of this space into my life. Can you see that? With practice, I've kind of expanded this. And therefore, what really happens is that over here, we are unmindful, unconscious, or unaware, and therefore, you've given the control to your mind, and you're not even aware that your mind is actually taking you into the past or future, and this causes a lot of stress and anxiety and fear, as you can imagine. And this is a small reprieve from it. And over here, there's a lot of peace. There is, a lot of joy, and there is a lot of gratefulness. And this is a space that you want to increase. And this comes with a practice because this is your default. And what we need to change this unmindful, unconscious, unaware state to being conscious, being aware, being mindful about the fact that you have been thinking or the mind has hijacked you. And the more space of awareness you bring into your life, more creative the life becomes, the more grateful the life becomes. And there's less of thoughts. And even if the thought comes, you're aware, more and more aware that the thought has come in. And the moment you become aware about the thinking, you come back into the space. And this is a practice that I've been practicing for the last almost about 20 years. And if I need to explain this a little bit, how I started working on this, let me explain it this way. Thoughts after thoughts after thoughts, and there's lots of anxiety and stress. And I started this the first day. Say, for example, I start this today. I'm starting it today to expand that space of awareness, space of creativity, the space of peace. And there's no peace here. There's no mental peace here. So what happens is that today I just become aware with practice, just once a day, And with practice, tomorrow I become aware twice a day. So I become aware, this is a space of awareness, space of creativity. So just obviously because you're starting new, there's only just one minute or just a few seconds that you were aware that you have been thinking. And now here, the second day, you were aware twice. And on the third day, probably 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And can you see that? This is how the practice goes. And more what happens is that there is more space of awareness and less of thinking. That is because you've actually moved from an area of space of unaware, unmindful, and unconscious to a state of being totally aware, totally conscious, and totally mindful. And therefore, what happens is that there is so much creativity, there is so much groundedness, there is so much oneness, there is so much joy, there is so much of benevolence. And even if the thought comes, you're aware that, okay, look, I've been thinking. And less of thought and more of awareness. And therefore, what really happens is that here, you've given away the control to your thought. Whereas over here, you've actually got the control, and you can, if you want, you can go back to, think about something, but come back. If you can also go back into the future to actually plan a trip and then come back. So it is like you're using it as for example, a torchlight. I just wanted to shine my path here and now. So I'm using the torchlight most of the time over here. When I want to go back into the past, I can shine my light in the past, but come back here. And if I want to go back into the future, I can shine light in the future, but come back. most important thing is, because of awareness, you're more and more coming back into this present moment. You're not dwelling into the past or future, as this has been the case because of your unconsciousness, because of your unawareness, because of your unmindfulness. And this is a great shift in my life, which has helped me to actually be creative and enjoy everything that I'm doing. And I guess this is what people are calling living in the present moment. So, moving from unconscious, unaware, unmindful, slowly, with practice, over a period of time. It may take months, it may take years, and I've been doing this for the past 20 years, and this is still a work in progress for me. And when the thought comes, when unnecessary thought comes, I catch it and say, why am I thinking about something that is going to happen in the future? Why am I thinking about something that's already happened in the past? And that awareness comes in. And that is a beautiful way of living in. And that is what I call the art of conscious balance.